About a month ago, this really hit home with me too. About a month ago, I was sitting in traffic and I was just like jamming These Dreams by heart. Oh. I was killing it in the car. And there was just this busload of high school kids that were parked right beside me. I didn't even realize. I looked over and every one of their jaws were just on the ground, laughing their friggin' guts out at me.
The entertainment world collectively gasped. It was a headline that seemed ripped from a sensational tabloid, yet it was starkly real. Marvel Studios, the titan of superhero cinema, had severed ties with Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds, the name alone conjured images of box office gold, charismatic wit, and a seemingly unshakable Hollywood reign. In an industry where studios often bend over backwards to accommodate their A-list talent, particularly within the lucrative realm of superhero franchises, this dismissal was unprecedented. Losing a star of Reynolds' magnitude, someone so deeply embedded in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's fabric and future plans, felt not just surprising, but almost like a violation of the established order. How could a performer so seemingly invincible, on the cusp of even greater Marvel triumphs, suddenly find himself cast out? The question hung heavy in the air, sparking a frenzy of speculation. Whispers, initially faint, began to circulate, hinting at unseen tensions, clandestine disagreements, and then the emergence of what would become known as the receipts, digital breadcrumbs that painted a far more complex and controversial picture.
Well, that is also accurate and weirdly high praise as well. It was just one of those. It felt like a live-action Pixar movie. It was something that, I wanted to do something where nobody was being stabbed in the face.
Yes.
There was almost no blood at all. I think I got a little paper cut on the movie. That was about it. And something that my kids can watch, but also as a parent, too, you want the parents need to get punched right in the heart as well.
Even prior to the earth-shattering announcement, subtle tremors had been detected within the Hollywood grapevine. Rumors, initially hushed and easily dismissed as industry static, suggested a growing unease between Reynolds and the powerful figures at Marvel's executive level. However, these were just fleeting murmurs, easily overshadowed by the usual buzz of movie-making machinery. Then came the project that inadvertently ignited the conflagration, a film adaptation spearheaded by Justin Baldoni. Baldoni, a director who had cultivated a reputation for crafting stories brimming with emotional depth and relatable human experiences, seemed like a judicious choice to helm a sensitive adaptation of beloved source material. Adding to the project's allure was the casting of Blake Lively, Reynolds' spouse, in a prominent leading role. On the surface, the collaboration appeared harmonious, a blend of established star power, a director known for his empathetic approach, and a cherished narrative foundation. Early promotional materials reinforced this image, portraying a project bathed in a rosy, uplifting light, promising audiences a heartwarming cinematic experience. Yet beneath this veneer of positivity, a storm was gathering. Trouble, in the form of creative clashes and escalating tensions, was brewing almost from the project's inception, setting the stage for the drama that would soon engulf not just the film, but Ryan Reynolds' Marvel career.
And I'm really excited, but as I've gotten a little bit older, I want to really, I'm lucky that I get to work in this industry, and particularly incredibly fortunate that I get to work in it this long, but I really want to work with people that are either immensely talented or people that I love and that I'm genuinely best friends with. And unfortunately, Hugh does not qualify as either of those, but I am excited because I'm a Logan fan. So, and then, that covers Will Ferrell as well. That's a guy that my entire life, I feel.
Whispers from those working on the Baldoni film set began to morph into more concrete accounts of friction. The source of contention, it seemed, was Blake Lively's burgeoning dissatisfaction with Justin Baldoni's multifaceted role. He wasn't simply occupying the director's chair, he was also deeply involved in shaping the screenplay, and slated to portray a significant character within the narrative itself. This multi-hyphenate approach, while not uncommon in independent filmmaking, reportedly grated on Lively. Rumors intensified, suggesting she felt increasingly marginalized, convinced that Baldoni was consciously or unconsciously vying for the limelight, overshadowing her contributions. To casual observers, this might have registered as standard on-set tension, the kind of personality clashes that typically dissipate once production concludes. However, the situation took a sharp turn into more contentious territory when Blake Lively leveled a serious accusation accusation against Justin Baldoni, that he was actively orchestrating a calculated smear campaign against her reputation. She alleged that he was the source of strategic leaks to the press, subtly crafting a narrative that depicted her as difficult to work with, temperamental, even demanding, effectively branding her as a problematic actress. In the image-obsessed ecosystem of Hollywood, such allegations carried significant weight. Initially, a segment of the industry leaned towards believing Lively's account. History is replete with instances where female performers have been unfairly targeted, their professional reputations deliberately undermined by those in positions of power. Headlines and social media platforms swiftly amplified this initial narrative, casting Justin Baldoni as an overbearing figure, while positioning Blake Lively as a performer merely seeking to have her artistic voice acknowledged and respected.
I would say that they're more surprises because they have beginnings, middles, and ends. They're not like, it's not just like a, hey, there's the person and we move on. It's they're there for a reason.
The carefully constructed narrative portraying Blake Lively as a victim of directorial overreach began to crumble when Justin Baldoni's legal team made a strategic move: the release of meticulously documented text message exchanges. These weren't vague recollections or hearsay. They were time-stamped digital logs presenting a starkly different account of events. The content of these messages directly contradicted Lively's claims of being unjustly targeted. Instead, they revealed her initiating demands, her assertively leveraging her considerable industry connections, and her actively attempting to shape the film's direction and public perception. Perhaps most strikingly, the text logs unveiled Lively explicitly invoking the influence of her husband, Ryan Reynolds, and their collective network of powerful allies. She referred to these influential figures, including Reynolds, as dragons, a loaded term hinting at the formidable, almost mythical power they could unleash if her stipulations were not met. The messages strongly suggested that Lively was engaged in a concerted effort to exert control over multiple facets of the production, demanding script alterations, dictating marketing strategies, and even attempting to preemptively manage public relations surrounding the film. This dramatic unveiling of documented communication fundamentally destabilized Lively's earlier portrayal of herself as oppressed and unheard. The text messages painted a portrait of someone actively wielding considerable clout and attempting to manipulate events behind the scenes, casting a long shadow of doubt over her initial accusations and raising serious questions about the true nature of the conflict.
Yeah. My relationship with my father, which was very complicated and difficult. My dad was a very, I come from a middle class, kind of blue collar home, and my dad was just of that generation where it's just like, he was Clint Eastwood, less is more. Simple grunts is how he communicated.
Okay, gotcha.
I think people tell themselves stories, and this sort of comes back to your worldview that you just mentioned about.
The narrative took another sharp turn when additional digital materials surfaced, messages that directly implicated Ryan Reynolds in the unfolding controversy. These weren't ambiguous references or inferred connections, they were explicit communications demonstrating his active participation in efforts to undermine Justin Baldoni's directorial authority and to strategically spin the public narrative in Blake Lively's favor. Reynolds, whose carefully cultivated public persona rested on a foundation of self-deprecating humor and widespread goodwill, was now revealed to be far more than a passive bystander. The newly unveiled logs suggested he was, in fact, a co-strategist, actively collaborating with Lively in navigating the escalating PR battle. These revelations emerged in fragmented but damning snippets, references to phone conversations with influential media contacts, concrete suggestions for leaking unfavorable information about Justin Baldoni to select press outlets, and even meticulously crafted proposals for angles that could reframe Blake Lively as the misunderstood protagonist in the unfolding drama. For a considerable period, the public's attention remained laser-focused on the simmering feud between Lively and Baldoni, effectively obscuring Reynolds' increasingly apparent and arguably more consequential role in the fiasco. Then, Justin Baldoni made an unexpected and pivotal announcement. He possessed a further cache of comprehensive receipts, timestamped communications, and irrefutable digital proof deemed too substantial to dismiss as mere rumor or subjective interpretation. According to early descriptions circulating within the industry, these new records meticulously detailed Ryan Reynolds' direct awareness of specific smear tactics being employed, tactics presumably conceived to strategically reposition the public conversation, emphasizing Lively's grievances while simultaneously portraying Baldoni as unsympathetic, dismissive, or even incompetent. As soon as word of this impending evidence release reached the upper echelons of Marvel Studios, alarm bells began to resound with increasing urgency.
I would say that they're more surprises because they have beginnings, middles, and ends. They're not like, it's not just like a, hey, there's the person and we move on. It's they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said it just earlier, but I wanted to go back on that. You think that this might be the greatest film that you've...
I mean, look, most of the time when the movie is this much fun to make, you up bad.
The entertainment industry, particularly one as meticulously image-conscious as Hollywood, has certainly navigated controversies involving marquee names in the past. However, the stakes inherent in this particular situation were exceptionally elevated. Marvel Entertainment, a global powerhouse built on meticulously cultivated brand loyalty and controversy-free relationships with its key performers, especially those who embodied beloved, iconic characters, found itself in an unprecedented predicament. Ryan Reynolds' comedic flair and on-screen charisma had become inextricably linked with his portrayal of a central figure within their sprawling cinematic universe. The prospect of continuing to publicly endorse and support Reynolds, despite the mounting evidence suggesting unethical conduct, particularly behavior that demonstrably undermined a respected filmmaker, presented Marvel with a profound dilemma. To stand by him in the face of such allegations risked triggering a significant backlash, alienating not only devoted fans and fellow cast members, but also potentially deterring future creative collaborators wary of associating with a studio seemingly willing to condone questionable behavior. Then arrived the day that irrevocably altered the trajectory of events. Marvel Studios executives convened, entering into closed-door deliberations to meticulously examine the newly released receipts provided by Justin Baldoni. The precise content of these documents, while not immediately disseminated to the wider public, was widely reported to paint a profoundly damaging portrait of Ryan Reynolds' direct involvement. They purportedly offered irrefutable confirmation that he had actively coordinated with Blake Lively in a calculated effort to meticulously manage press coverage and strategically manipulate public opinion, all aimed at discrediting Justin Baldoni. Furthermore, persistent rumors began to circulate, suggesting that the incriminating messages extended beyond the immediate film-related conflict, hinting at a more pervasive pattern of pressure tactics employed by Reynolds and Lively. Whispers spoke of them leveraging their extensive industry connections for personal or professional advantage, painting a picture of influence wielded with a heavy hand. This accumulation of damning evidence proved to be the breaking point, the proverbial final straw, in a move that reverberated throughout the entertainment landscape. Defying all prior expectations, Marvel Entertainment made the momentous and unambiguous decision to sever ties with Ryan Reynolds, effectively terminating a partnership that had once promised to deliver substantial box office returns and further solidify the studio's dominance. The official statement emanating from Marvel Studios was strikingly concise, almost devoid of the usual corporate gloss. It referenced a recent review of newly disclosed information, a clear nod to Justin Baldoni's receipts, and tersely concluded that Ryan Reynolds' position with the studio was no longer tenable. The stark, unambiguous language employed in the announcement profoundly surprised industry observers and devoted fans alike. Typically, Marvel's public pronouncements adhered to a carefully crafted script of cheerful updates, vague corporate pronouncements, and relentlessly positive spin. This statement, in contrast, was noticeably grave, resolute, and utterly final. Almost instantaneously, social media platforms became a digital epicenter of shocked reactions, widespread disbelief, and an overwhelming outpouring of questions. How, fans clamored to know, could a star possessing such an immense global following and a seemingly unblemished comedic reputation find himself in a position so precarious as to warrant dismissal by the very studio that had so enthusiastically championed his ascent? While legions of fans vociferously demanded clarifications and explanations, Justin Baldoni maintained a remarkably steady and unflustered demeanor. He refrained from indulging in any triumphalist rhetoric, offering no pointed public jabs directed at either Ryan Reynolds or Blake Lively. Instead, in a measured and deliberate manner, he released further, more meticulously detailed logs of communication, painstakingly clarifying the precise timeline of events and reiterating his core objective. Baldoni asserted that his intention had never been to vilify individuals or seek retribution, but rather to safeguard his professional integrity and protect the well-being of his production team from what he perceived as undue interference. Adding another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama, Blake Lively's legal counsel sensationally severed professional ties, citing irreconcilable differences regarding her account of the events, a move that further fueled speculation about the veracity of her initial claims. Onlookers and industry insiders alike openly wondered whether Lively had exerted undue pressure on Reynolds to intervene on her behalf, or if the couple had collaboratively conceived and executed the strategic plan from its inception. Rumors regarding the internal dynamics of their marriage began to proliferate, prompting conjecture that the image of unwavering marital solidarity they projected to the public might in reality be a carefully constructed partnership primarily dedicated to rigorously controlling and manipulating their shared public image. Whether or not such speculation held any basis in reality, the surfacing of the digital receipts undeniably introduced a new dimension of complexity to the narrative. It was no longer simply a matter of Blake Lively seeking greater creative input. It appeared to be a strategically orchestrated campaign designed to deliberately portray Justin Baldoni as inept, unreasonable, or unyielding, a portrayal demonstrably unsupported by the uncensored text logs themselves. Ryan Reynolds, typically renowned for his rapid-fire wit and adeptness at diffusing controversies with humor, adopted a notably uncharacteristic posture of silence on his social media channels. He conspicuously avoided directly addressing the escalating story altogether, opting instead to post generic promotional content seemingly unrelated to Marvel or the burgeoning film fiasco. Industry observers widely interpreted this uncharacteristic reticence as a sign of significant internal turmoil. In past controversies, even those of comparatively minor magnitude, Reynolds had often tackled them head-on, sometimes deploying a cheeky, self-aware wink that swiftly diffused tensions and reassured his fan base. However, with Marvel's public termination now a stark reality, such a lighthearted approach would have almost certainly backfired spectacularly. Sources purportedly close to Reynolds privately suggested he was in a state of crisis mode, urgently attempting to formulate a strategy to repair a carefully constructed public persona that had sustained a direct and potentially devastating blow. Marvel's move resonated deeply. Studios worldwide took notice. Dismissing Ryan Reynolds was a stark warning. Star power isn't a shield against accountability. If allegations threaten a franchise's integrity, even top-tier stars can be expendable. Industry reactions were divided. Some called Marvel's action an overreaction, questioning if damage control could have salvaged the situation. Others hailed it as a necessary stance on accountability, a long overdue reckoning for behind-the-scenes manipulations. Justin, for his part, expressed a sense of vindication, emphasizing his goal was to expose hidden maneuvers, not punish individuals. For crew members who witnessed the tensions, there was quiet relief, validation of their concerns about orchestrated campaigns. Blake retreated from the public eye, social media silence replacing her usual online presence. Fans who initially defended her began to shift, citing the logs as a sobering wake-up call. The media dissected every angle, debating Ryan's future, the damage to his brand, and the irony of Marvel, known for star loyalty, executing such a public split. Could Ryan mount a comeback, or is this a career-defining blow? Other studios now weigh the risk of associating with him, projects potentially jeopardized. While Hollywood is known for reinvention, a period of cautious distancing seems inevitable. Industry veterans see parallels to other stars who face sudden falls from grace. But Ryan's everyman charm, once seemingly bulletproof, now faces a harsh reality. In an era of digital receipts, no public image, no matter how carefully crafted, is immune to hard evidence. Marvel's decisive action slammed the door shut with startling finality, and as the dust settles, the industry is left to grapple with the implications. A stark reminder that even in the illusion factory of Hollywood, evidence, candor, and collaboration ultimately matter.